Good morning students, we'll continue with the topic. So in the previous class we were dealing about diverticulitis. So now we'll move on with the next topic of GI disorder, that is Crohn's disease. So what is this Crohn's disease? So Crohn's disease, it is also known as regional enteritis. Okay, it is also known as regional enteritis or granulomatous enteritis. Okay, so Crohn's disease, it is also known as regional enteritis or granulomatous enteritis. So this is usually, Crohn's disease is usually an inflammatory bowel disease. Okay, so this is usually an inflammatory bowel disease. So it is Crohn's disease, it is also known as regional enteritis or granulomatous enteritis. So this is usually an inflammatory bowel disease. Okay, it is usually an inflammatory bowel disease. So Crohn's disease can affect any part of the GI tract. Okay, that is from mouth to anus. Okay, it can affect any part of the GI tract, that is from mouth to anus, but commonly it affects the lower part of the small intestine. Okay, commonly it affects the lower part of the small intestine, that is ileum. So that is Crohn's disease. It is also known as regional enteritis or granulomatous enteritis. So this is usually an inflammatory bowel disease. So Crohn's disease can affect any part of the GI tract, that is from mouth to anus, but it actually affects the lower part of the small intestine, that is ileum. Okay, lower part of the small intestine, that is ileum. So the swelling extends. Okay, the swelling which is present in this Crohn's disease, it usually extends deep in the lining of the affected organ. Okay, so the swelling usually extends. Okay, the swelling usually extends deep into the lining of the affected organs. Affected organ, here it is a lower segment of the or lower part of the small intestine, that is ileum. So that is, the swelling will be there. So this swelling usually extends up to the deep up to the lining of the affected organ. The swelling which is present, okay, the swelling which is present, it can cause pain and can make the intestine empty frequently. Okay, can make the intestine empty frequently, resulting in diarrhea. So the swelling can cause pain and empty the small intestine frequently, resulting in diarrhea. So that is Crohn's disease. It is usually known, it is also known as regional enteritis or granulomatous enteritis. This is usually an inflammatory bowel disease. So Crohn's disease affects any part of the GI tract, that is from mouth to anus. Okay, it can affect any part of the GI tract, that is from mouth to anus, but it usually affects lower part of the small intestine, that is ileum, and this usually like swelling will be present. It will be present deep in the lining of the affected organ, and this swelling can cause pain and also frequently empty the small intestine, resulting in diarrhea. So next is causes. So exactly the exact cause for this Crohn's disease is unknown. Okay, exactly they are not knowing why it is occurring, what is the main reason for this Crohn's disease to occur, so that is unknown. So it has been found that it might be due to genetic factors, environmental factors, or body's alteration in the body's immune system. Okay, alteration in the body's immune system. So exact cause for this Crohn's disease is unknown, so they are not able to know, but they have found that it might be due to any changes in the environmental factors or any changes in the genetic factors, or if there is alteration in the body's immune system. So these are usually the causes of Crohn's disease. So exactly it is unknown, so but it is found that it might be due to any changes, any alteration in the genetic factors or environmental factors, or in the if there is alteration in the body's immune system. Okay, when there is alteration or any changes in the immune system of that person, there is chances that the person might develop this Crohn's disease. So that is usually there. And next is usually risk factors. So risk factors, it mainly includes that if there is any family history of Crohn's disease. Okay, any of the family members, if they were suffering from Crohn's disease, so there is chances that the person might develop this Crohn's disease. And also if the person is continuously smoking, okay, if he is long-term smoker, okay, if he is chronic smoker, okay, if he is chronic smoker, then also there is chances that they develop this Crohn's disease, as well as if the person is continuously taking NSAIDs. Okay, if he is taking continuously any NSAIDs, then there is chances that the person might develop this Crohn's disease. So Crohn's disease, the risk factors are mainly if there is any family history of Crohn's disease, or if he is chronic smoker, or if he is taking completely, if the person is taking using NSAIDs. So that is usually about this causes and risk factors of Crohn's disease. So next is types of Crohn's disease. Okay, there are different types of Crohn's disease which usually occurs in the individual. So first is colonic disease. Okay, so first is colonic disease. So this is the commonest symptoms of this colonic disease is that they involve diarrhea, general malaise. It is often associated with anorexia and weight loss. So the commonest symptoms that is associated with this colonic disease is diarrhea, weight loss, anorexia, as well as general malaise. So in this usually what happen in this pattern of Crohn's disease, okay, in this pattern in the Crohn's disease, there is obstructive symptoms. Okay, there is obstructive symptoms which is uncommon. Okay, the obstructive symptoms are uncommon in this colonic type of Crohn's disease. Okay, in this colonic type of Crohn's disease, obstructive symptoms are usually uncommon. Okay, so common symptoms, it will mainly include general malaise, diarrhea, weight loss, anorexia. So these are the common symptoms which is associated with this type of colonic disease, that is Crohn's disease. This type of Crohn's disease, it is mainly associated like this, but the obstructive symptoms, it is unknown. Okay, obstructive symptoms, it is unknown. So that is the first type, it is colonic disease, where the common symptoms that usually occurs in this, it is diarrhea, general malaise, anorexia, weight loss, but the obstructive symptoms, it is uncommon. Okay, so that is usually, it will not occur so much in this type of Crohn's disease. So next is perianal disease. Okay, so perianal disease, so this is present in more than 2/3 of the person with Crohn's disease. Okay, so along with Crohn's disease, 2/3 of the individuals will develop this perianal disease. So this is usually painless and asymptomatic. Okay, this disease is usually painless and asymptomatic. So this will become painful. Okay, this will become painful when there is abscess formation in the anal region. Okay, if there is abscess formation in the anal region, or if there is anal fissures. Okay, if there is anal fissures, that time usually this pain will be developed in this disease. So perianal disease, it usually occurs in 2/3 of the person along with Crohn's disease, and it is painless as well as asymptomatic. So pain usually develops when the person develops any abscess, local abscess, as well as anal fissure. So that is perianal disease. So next is small bowel disease. Okay, so small bowel disease, so this is ileal disease. Okay, so this is ileal disease. So in this disease, usually they will be having symptoms like abdominal pain, discomfort will be there, diarrhea will be there, as well as abdominal mass will be there. Okay, so that is, so the small bowel disease, it is usually ileal disease. So in this disease, usually they will be having abdominal pain, discomfort, diarrhea, as well as abdominal mass. So that is usually there, and severe symptoms you can see in this also, like they will be having weight loss, peripheral weight loss, peripheral edema will be present. So that is usually about this small bowel disease. So next is gastroduodenal Crohn's disease. Okay, gastroduodenal Crohn's disease. So next type, it is gastroduodenal Crohn's disease. So this usually Crohn's disease affects the gastroduodenum region. Okay, it usually affects the gastroduodenum region. It occurs in 5% of the individuals. Okay, this type of disease usually occurs in 5% of the people, which is associated with macroscopic diseases. Okay, which is associated with microscopic diseases in other parts of the GI tract, which is associated with macroscopic diseases in other parts of the GI tract. The symptoms of this gastroduodenal disease, it is similar to that of the peptic ulcers. Okay, the symptoms are mainly common related like peptic ulcer. So it is usually there, where epigastric pain will be there. Okay, where epigastric pain also will be severe. So it is usually about this gastroduodenal Crohn's disease. So gastroduodenal disease, it is usually present in 5% of the cases, where in the 5% of the individuals, which is associated with macroscopic diseases of the other GI tract. Okay, other parts of the GI tract. The symptoms are similar to that of the peptic ulcer. Okay, the symptoms are similar to the peptic ulcer, where they will be having epigastric pain. Okay, where they will be having epigastric pain. So this is about this different types of Crohn's disease. So first is colonic disease, where symptoms like common symptoms includes like diarrhea, general malaise, weight loss, anorexia will be there, but obstructive symptoms will not be present. Next is perianal disease. So this is associated, in this disease usually about 2/3 of the individuals with Crohn's disease will be having this perianal disease. They will not be having any pain, or it is asymptomatic, but pain develops when there is local abscess formation and anal fissure. So next is small bowel disease. This is usually it is usually also called as ileal disease. So this is associated with abdominal pain, discomfort, diarrhea, as well as abdominal mass. So that is usually there. And severe symptoms in this, you can see weight loss and peripheral edema will be present. So next is gastroduodenal disease. So this is seen in 5% of the individual along with Crohn's disease. So in this disease, usually they will be having symptoms of peptic ulcers, and severely they will be having epigastric pain. So next is symptoms. We'll see what are the different symptoms that the person will be having when he is having this Crohn's disease. So that is usually the symptoms usually depends upon the severity of the disease. Okay, so the symptoms usually depends upon the severity of the symptoms. So the main symptoms of this Crohn's disease, it can be like they'll be having cramps, abdominal pain will be there, which will be very severe, as well as fever will be there, fatigue, the person might feel fatigue, loss of appetite, and then they'll be having pain while passing stools. Okay, they'll be having pain while passing stools, that is tenesmus will be present, that is pain while passing stools. And next they'll be having persistent watery diarrhea. Okay, so that is persistent continuous watery diarrhea will be there. Then unintentional weight loss will be there, general malaise. Okay, these are the main symptoms of this Crohn's disease, that is abdominal cramp, abdominal pain, and then fever will be there, fatigue will be there, tenesmus will be there, watery diarrhea will be there, which is very persistently will be present, and there will be general malaise will be there, and unintentional weight loss can be seen. So that is usually about this main symptoms that is present. Other than that, other symptoms which can also be seen in this Crohn's disease, it is like few, like rarely they can see constipation, eye inflammation will be there, fistulas and fissures can develop. Okay, fistulas and fissures can develop, or abscess can be developed. I have told you that in perianal disease this can happen. So it is fistula, fissures and abscess can develop. Then they will be having joint pain, that is arthritis will be present, and liver inflammation will be there. Mouth ulcers can be developed in few cases, like is there rectal bleeding and bloody stools will be there. Okay, rectal bleeding, bloody stools will be present, and some skin lumps will be developing. Okay, skin lumps will be developing. So these are the other symptoms which is associated with Crohn's disease. Main symptoms I have told you, like they'll be having fever, abdominal cramp, abdominal pain, fatigue, unintentional weight loss, watery diarrhea. So all these are the main symptoms. Other than that, the other symptoms that you can see, it is mainly they'll be having liver inflammation, skin ulcers or mouth ulcer will be there, rectal bleeding will be there, or bloody stools will be there, and then they'll be having constipation, eye inflammation, fissures, development of fissures and fistulas will be there, so joint pain will be there. So these are usually the other symptoms which is associated with Crohn's disease. So that is usually there. So next is diagnostic evaluation. So what are the diagnoses that we have to do, or what are the diagnoses that we will do in order to confirm this disease, that is Crohn's disease? The first is we have to go with history collection and physical examination. So this is the main thing that we do. History collection and physical examination should be done. Then we go with blood test. Okay, blood test, it is mainly done to check whether the person is having anemia, because if at all the person is anemic, then we can know that the person is having bleeding. So that is usually, so that is mainly we go with blood test. This is done mainly to check whether the person is having anemia. Then we have to go with, they'll be having high, if WBC count is high. Okay, if WBC count is high, that is usually we can say that there is inflammation in the body. Okay, so we can understand that there is some inflammation in the body. Then stool sample should be collected. Stool samples, it is done if it is there to check whether there is presence of bleeding, or if there is any infection, like if there is any organism. So all this thing, in order to check this, we go with stool examination. Then we have to go with upper GI series. Okay, we have to go with upper GI series. So this is usually done to check the small intestine. Okay, this is mainly done to check the small intestine. That is upper GI series. It is done mainly to check the small intestine. So what is done in this? It is mainly the person is asked to drink barium. Okay, the person is asked to drink barium. That is a chalky solution. Okay, the person is asked to drink barium. That is a chalky solution that coats the lining of the small intestine. Okay, so this usually coats the lining of the small intestine. And when we take X-rays, then we will get the clear picture of the small intestine. Okay, we will get clear picture of the small intestine. That is upper GI series of the small intestine should be done. So this is done by asking the person to drink barium, that is a chalky solution, and this usually lines, when this barium is taken, so this lines the small intestine. So after that, if we take X-rays, we'll get clear picture of the small intestine. Okay, we'll get the clear picture of the small intestine, like if there is any inflammation clearly can be noted, or if there is any other abnormalities in the intestine, that also can be clearly noted. So that is upper GI series should be done, and then and after that we have to go with colonoscopy and sigmoidoscopy. Okay, then we can go with colonoscopy and sigmoidoscopy. So that is usually that is to be done. So that is colonoscopy and sigmoidoscopy. So this is after that biopsy will also be done. Okay, biopsy will also be done. So that is usually about this diagnostic test that is usually done in this Crohn's disease. So what is the diagnostic test that we go? So mainly we go with history collection and physical examination. Then blood test is done. Blood test we go check for anemia and WBC count. So if anemia is there, we can notify that there is bleeding in the intestine. Then if there is high WBC count, then we can understand that if there is inflammation in the body. And then we go with stool examination. Stool examination is done to check for any organisms or bleeding. Then we go with upper GI series. This is done to check out like small intestine if there is any abnormalities or if there is any inflammation. So that is usually done. Then colonoscopy, sigmoidoscopy and biopsy is done. So this is about this diagnostic test that we do in order to confirm Crohn's disease. So next is management. So what is done in this management? So management we go with like pharmacological treatment will be there, as well as surgical management is there. So when pharmacological treatment like all this lifestyle management, everything if it is not improving the disease, then we go with surgical management. Okay, then we go with surgical management. So this treatment, the same thing, it depends upon the severity of the disease. Okay, treatment mainly depends upon the severity of the treatment. So the severity of the disease. So the main goal of this treatment is to reduce inflammation as well as to correct this nutritional deficiencies. Okay, so that is to reduce it is the main aim or the main goal for this treatment is to reduce inflammation to correct nutritional deficiency. So pharmacological treatment will start in this. Usually we start with pharmacological treatment. So pharmacological treatment, we usually give different medications to control the symptoms. Okay, we give different medications to control the symptoms, to reduce the symptoms. So the first is anti-inflammatory drugs. Okay, so we go with giving anti-inflammatory drugs. So drug of choices are mainly sulfasalazine, mesalamine. Okay, so that is usually we go with sulfasalazine, mesalamine. So these are usually the drug of choice which is usually given to the person. So it is anti-inflammatory drugs. This is mainly to reduce the inflammation. So sulfasalazine and mesalamine is usually given. Next is cortisone or steroids are given. Okay, cortisone or steroids are given. So this is usually known as corticosteroids. Okay, cortisone and steroids are given. That is usually known as corticosteroids. This usually like prednisolone will be given. Okay, prednisone is usually given. So that is corticosteroids are usually given. So next is immune system suppressors. Okay, next that we go with giving it is immune system suppressor. So that is usually drugs that suppresses the immune system. Okay, that suppresses the immune system, that is usually used to treat Crohn's disease. So most commonly used immune system suppressors are 6-mercaptopurine. Okay, it is 6-mercaptopurine or azathioprine. Okay, so that is azathioprine it is usually given. So azathioprine it is usually given, and 6-mescaptopurine is given. Okay, mescaptopurine is given. So it is immune system suppressor. So these are drugs it is usually given to suppress the immune system in the Crohn's disease. So the drug of choice it is mainly 6-mescaptopurine and azathioprine. Okay, so these are the drugs that is usually given in this. So next is infliximab. Okay, so that is usually infliximab. So this is also known as Remicade. Okay, infliximab, or it is also known as Remicade. So this is the drug which is usually blocks body's inflammation response. Okay, this drug is usually given where it blocks the body's inflammation response. That is infliximab or it is also known as Remicade. So it is usually given. Or next drug of choice it is antibiotics is given. So antibiotics is given mainly to reduce the infection or to treat the bacterial infections that is usually given. So example that is ampicillin is given, cephalosporin it is given, tetracycline is given, metronidazole it is given. So drug of choice that we give it is ampicillin, cephalosporin, tetracycline and metronidazole it is usually given. Other than that, antidiarrheal drugs is given and fluid replacement has to be done. So that is pharmacological treatment. We start with giving anti-inflammatory drug, that is sulfasalazine and mesalamine is given. Then we go with corticosteroids, that is prednisone is given. Then we go with immune system suppressors, that is 6 mescaptopurine as well as azathioprine it is usually given. And then we go with infliximab, that is, or it is also known as Remicade. Then we go with giving them antibiotics, that is ampicillin, cephalosporin, tetracycline, metronidazole it is usually given. And then antidiarrheal drugs is given, as well as fluid replacement has to be done. So next management that we go, it is a diet correction, that is nutrition, diet and nutrition. So in this mainly we have to go with giving them sufficient caloric food, protein diet should be given. Then we have to see that we have to maintain the weight. Then adequate vitamins and minerals should be given. Okay, so that is sufficient caloric rich diet should be given, protein rich diet should be given. And then we have to go with giving them sufficient vitamin and minerals in the diet. Okay, vitamin and minerals in the diet. So that is usually given. So that is diet high in fiber should be given, low in fat should be given. Okay, diet high in fibers and low in fat diet should be given for the people. Okay, for the people. So that is usually about this diet and nutrition. So when this fails, okay, then pharmacological management and diet replacement, diet and nutrition fails, then we go with surgical management. Surgical management, when we go with anastomosis will be done. Okay, in this surgical management, anastomosis will be done. So the colostomy with ileotomy will be done. Okay, colostomy with ileotomy will be done, or colectomy with ileorectal anastomosis will be done. Okay, when pharmacological treatment as well as this diet and nutritional lifestyle changes, if it is not working to treat Crohn's disease, then we go with surgical management. So surgical management, here anastomosis will be developed, like colectomy with ileorectal anastomosis, colostomy with ileostomy will be done. So this is usually about this management. So management mainly includes pharmacological management, diet and nutrition, and surgical management. Pharmacological management, where we go with different medications are given. Diet and nutrition, where protein rich diet, caloric rich diet, vitamin and nutritional diet will be given, like very low high fiber rich diet and low fat diet will be given. Surgical management, anastomosis will be developed. So this is usually about this Crohn's disease. So Crohn's disease, it is usually where it affects the lower part of the small intestine, that is ileum.